chicanery, sophistry, skullduggery. All of these words define what is essentially the same art. The art of interpersonal warfare and intrigue. The skill of using all available means to tear down, destroy, or delegitimize one's rivals. By the spring of 1108, these words were on the lips of many Vlandian households. The king was dead. His oldest son was assassinated. His other son, Aserai, ruled a wobbling Vlandian empire, trying to pick itself up from the repeated disasters of war. While all of this chaos piled high the bodies on the battlefields, the many leading households of Valandia were engaged in a deadly game of thrones. King Aserai wasn't brilliant by all accounts, but his advisors were shrewd and he lusted for absolute power. Prince Galther resented Aserai and his family's rule despite obvious shortcomings. Meanwhile, Baron York, an imposter hiding a veritable fortress full of skeletons and lies, also sought the throne. Into this chaos entered the Knighthoods. Their origin and true number of members was unknown, but it was rumored that they were ex-mercenary forces who were unpaid during the Battle of Pendraic and had taken to the streets to ply their deadly trade. These were the kind of men you sought out if you wanted a debt repaid, or missing person found, or maybe someone else to end up missing. This notorious organization was also highly unreliable and known to kill their employers as well as their employees, and it represented a titanic escalation in the inner feuds between these Vlandian families. The rules of warfare were changing, and it was always the honest and the good man who died first. The Baron himself was as ruthless as he was shrewd, but he did have one major weakness. His insatiable philandering had given courtesans inner access to his life, and while the Baron was usually careful and tried to resist his temptations, Calradia was home to a great many beautiful faces, and the Baron's weaknesses might be exploited by a similarly ruthless mind. Even with reinforcing the garrison some, we still have a good force, 289 troops. It's a pretty solid army, but more importantly, right, all of those goods are saved. Let's go ahead and start a new episode here. Welcome back again to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. Our YouTube channel is dedicated to all things Bannerlord related, especially this epic Vlandian campaign. In the previous episode or episodes, many things have happened. We lost the city of Rovalt, and the evil king Aserai then seized control of it, snatched control of Rovalt from Baron York, just took it by force, and so Baron York bought all the food in the city, basically his way of getting back at the king. Took all the food that we had saved in our stash there over a very long period of time, took all the horses, took all the goods, took all the flax and shit like that, because at some point or other, obviously, we will move those goods to a new capital city for the Baron. The Baron was very disappointed that that city was voted. More accurately, the city was snatched, seized by force by the king, even though the Baron had 50 or whatever % on the decision. And Calais Castle's under siege, even though the Baron clearly swayed the decision of the council in his favor for Revolt, the fucking evil king Aserai still decided, you know what, I'm taking this as my fief. So, I've got a large force of Battanians here, and we just don't take any battle for granted in this campaign. We still have a lot of recruits. We've got hillmen. We're still getting up to speed with this army. So let's take a peek here at some villages. If you don't know, if guys are not experienced at Bannerlord, or maybe you just haven't played this way, some of the villages in Bannerlord, and this is one of them, are almost as good or better than castles for defense. We're going to be able to funnel this Battanian force here, provided they come north. I actually lost sight of them. Here they come. Boron the idiot. It's fucking named after an elemental item. Come get some, Boron, stupid fuck. But, you know, these armies that we're facing are ferocious. And, of course, if you've watched the last few episodes, you've seen the results of that, right? We've had a lot of losses. We've had a lot of very difficult battles. So, much rather fight this guy here at this village and use every advantage we can. You hear I took revolt? That's right. And then it was fucking stolen from us, you big bearded donkey. We're going to fucking strap you to our prisoner van here after we demolish you. We're going to continue to do tactics for this series, of course. This tactical enlightenment you're watching. You're not watching, you know, a YouTube channel where they just F1, F3. We're going to continue to use our brain and then our brawn to obliterate the enemy. Let's see here. I've got a bunch of these nobles. I'm going to spend 20-30 seconds before most battles. Now, a lot of these battles we'll just delete, right? If they're interesting tactical battles, we will add them into the campaign. I am to the stage of the campaign where we're not showing you every battle. Some guys, you know, it's a balance. Some guys are like, I want to see every single battle. Other guys are like, well, you can edit, you know, the ordinary battles. So trying to find kind of the right balance. Now, this city has an amazing location both to kite and to funnel. If we could get these Battanians to come at us towards the center of the building, almost like the Viet Cong, right? Lure them through the center of the village and then get them flanked out to this right side here. Their left, our right. We're going to be able to provide a horrific hail of darts, clog up the little farm alleys there, and then I think we'll do a little body slam cavalry charge from behind. Although this is a good opportunity to do just a cavalry dismount and put a whole bunch of infantry behind them, pinch them against these buildings here. So I'll explain this process as we're doing it. The initial stage here, what I'm actually doing is I'm sort of making a feint attempt that we're going to hold the center. The AI will come at you in a direct line, and it comes towards the mass of your troops. So if all of our troops are on the left here, they'll come towards the right, and they'll come towards their left, and it will defeat our plan. I want them to come through these village towns and barns and shit. That way, their units are coming through these little narrow passages. That means we'll have concentrated crossbow fire on them. That means it'll be easier to bottle up their infantry so they can't get loose and start throwing javelins. That means their cavalry will be jammed in as well. Now, we outnumber them here, or maybe it's really close, but they're going to have a strong army, right? They're going to have lots of fiend champs, and you could just expect that to be the par for the course from this point on in the campaign. I've gotten to a comfort level with the StrengthenAI settings. The guys express interest in seeing the settings. Well, they're changing, fellas, but I will do my best to... In fact, I'll take just a second here. StrengthenAI. We jot that shit down and issue orders at the same time here. We will multitask for you fellas. A group. Okay, so we're getting allied help. Not that we need it. This is going to be a shellacking, but we want to show these kind of tactics on the channel. Now, we need to shellac the enemy here, and these cavalry are strictly bait. I'm baiting them towards our left, their right. I want them to come in. That way we can funnel them through the center of town. The reason this battle is important, that we suffer like less than 300 losses here, less than 200 losses, is we have big plans, right? It's time to begin re-invading Battanian territory. Baron York wants a fief, right? So I'm eyeballing, I was going to say Carbanthith, that's the Northern Empire still. Dunglanys, maybe Pencannock. He needs a fief, right? He has 2 castles and no cities, and you start to lose money at some point if you don't have a city. So... not to mention all of the prestige of having a city that you own, right? Baron York loves being a despot to the little peasants. So, now that the enemy's coming in, we're going to start moving these units quickly. We'll screen them with cavalry, that way they don't get pounded with arrows and ran down by enemy cavalry while they're moving. It's going to take about 45 seconds here to get our units over, but in that time... the enemy shouldn't be able just to burst through the village. It should be a little bit of a delay here for them as well as they adjust, and it does look like it's going to work beautifully. So 2nd Division is going to be a dismounted screen here. I'm going to dismount them because I want their horses out of this battle, right? I don't want the 2nd or the 8th Division horses in the battle after the battle fighting starts. So the beginning here, we're going to have these guys mounted because they move faster. But once they get to their locations, I want them off their horses because then they can more easily put a lot of units into these little narrow alleys of town, right? It's very congested. I mean, we have 2,000 units on the battlefield right now, or 1,800 or something like that. And there's just not enough room for, 300 cavalry to be charging through. They get bottled up on each other, and they become a liability. They are coming through. They're sort of filtering through. It's good, though. This is optimal, right? Drop a few guys here. I've got a square. The first division's in a square there. This second division, we're going to tell these guys to get off the horses, and they become a secondary infantry square. Behind them, the shock troops, right? This third division in front of me, bunch of Volgiers and stuff like that. We will tuck them behind the horses. Might as well use the horses. The horses are going to get shot en masse. Thank you for your sacrifice, you equine servants of you. Appreciate it. Baron York approves of all of those that he slaughters, for his ego. The square here is going to do a good job absorbing cavalry attacks. And we're going to send the 8th Cavalry Division behind the enemy here, right? They're still mounted, but their job basically is going to be to clamp in behind the enemy and seal, you can choose your analogy. Seal the deal, cork the bottle, a bunch of different analogies work. So I'm just going to take that 8th Division and put it way behind the enemy. Once they're most of the way behind, we'll have them dismount and then come in and pinch all these Battanian forces that are being shellacked, right? They're being shot to pieces. You can hear our horses and shock troops being shot, but hopefully a lot of those horses are absorbing air. You can hear the arrow fire in there from all these Battanians. Our shield walls are doing their thing. I've got a line over here, the 7th. It's just kind of a mix of troops. They're like an auxiliary division. And the enemy's coming through a very tight opening into heavy crossbow fire, right? They are being pounded, and obviously the death spam tells you the results of that. Now they're starting to scramble. They probably don't like cavalry charging them from behind. We're not actually going to charge here. I don't want them on their horses, so we'll have them dismount as well, and now we'll pinch them with these other infantry divisions, right? The 3rd moves up, the 2nd, the 1st, the 7th, all these different infantry divisions now close in for the kill. The crossbow's still shooting, right? They have a nice elevated position. You can see the bolts flying over our head here, just shooting every single piece of flesh in sight. Nobody misses, right? Because there's so many Battanians in there. Now, behind the poor bastard enemy here, our 8th Division dismounted comes roaring in. The 3rd Division comes roaring up. The 1st and the 2nd can now be told to charge. They're no longer on defense. Our troops roar with joy. They're aware their commander knows what he's doing and get shot here by a lord. But these Battanian archers are fucked, right? Behind them is 150 banner knights and other dismounted cavalry pouring in on their flank. We'll join them here, and the screen flushes green. Even though this force, theoretically had a good chance to win this battle, they get completely exterminated here. And they're hard, high-level troops, right? We're constantly facing off against Fiend Champs. This has been amazing. It really has been hell mode, Bannerlord. And what a fucking pleasure, right? To have to cut your way through a true vanguard. Not like the pathetic little vanilla vanguard where it's 9 Fiend Champs and then a whole bunch of serfs. This whole vanguard here of like 100 troops is all Fiend Champs. And of course you have to use tactics for that. We'll move our crossbow divisions to another new location just to spray enemy reinforcements with arrows, bolts, and whatnot. But this battle basically just ended. The enemy got, obviously, highly manipulatable, got completely shredded here. They got a lord over here. There's like 3 of them. She's just, retreat! You can hear her yelling, retreat! Oh, now she won't have at him. And that is again, just to reemphasize, that's another great mod. That's a must-have mod to me. You don't have to have it, but man, is it nice for immersion. And it's appropriately named Immersive Battlefields, right? The enemy lords call out commands with their actual voice. So if you have a commander that's a female, right, she's over there, wall, now, right, in her female voice. It adds a lot of ambiance. All the troops cheer and roar when they get told to charge. There's just, you get the horns, when reinforcements come in. There's just a bunch of different elements that add to battle. And I wish I had a horse right now, because it looks like they're trying to form one last defensive line here, but this battle, for all intents and purposes, is over. A 10-second literary educational process here. A lot of guys think that sentence means intensive, for all intensive purposes. It's for all intents as in intentions, and purposes. Just so you fellas are out there, right? Learning the English language. English language, very fucking difficult. And of course, our schools don't exactly do a terrific job. I was raised by an English teacher, that helps. Your 10-second literary lesson of this episode. Yeah, we'll take that, right? 120 losses here, and we killed 1,000. Right? We'll take that. What, an 8-to-1 kill ratio? Just a mangling of this Battanian force. Precisely what we needed here, right? To move into Battanian territory and start ripping them up. Now, I'm definitely aware that you can get sort of a monotony to episodes like this. If you're in a really difficult Bannerlord campaign, it can go back and forth. We will avoid that, right? On some level, somehow, either I will edit the battles that are insignificant or sort of a duplicate for this campaign, or I will give you guys the ESPN highlights, or I will just simply tell you, you know, we took this city, we took that castle. I will summarize some episodes, the first 30 seconds, or maybe I'll do it in the middle of the episode and say, you know, we smashed these guys here, we lost this companion. That way you guys have nice, fresh, interesting content this entire campaign. I don't know how long this campaign is going to go, right? I have some ideas for this campaign. There are twists and turns coming beyond the twists and turns that you've already experienced, right? You know I'm going to make it interesting for you fellas. We're going to defend Calais Castle here. But, you know, we will try to avoid redundant battles. That's why I like that last battle. I like showing you battles like that, right? That was a very unique battle. And you guys get a little different perspective of how to play Bannerlord for those of you that haven't done stuff like that yet. And we're just going to auto-resolve this here. I'm going to have to do a little bit of tinkering here. I want to drop some troops at at Calais Castle. We emptied the garrison to this place, right? So there's only militia here defending, but we can give them, I don't know, 50, 60, 70 troops. And all that will do is simply buy us time with this castle. If you don't know, of course, I think most of you guys know, if you have 200 or 300 troops in a castle or city, you typically have 4 or 5 days to get to that castle or city when it's under siege, right? We have 100 here right now, just militia. So I think I'll probably spare you this point here. A couple of these militia, a couple of those guys here, and we will be right back. All right, get a little caffeine here and on to our next target here. Probably Dunglanys. Almost 200 troops there now at Calais Castle. Feel good about that. We still have 211 in our main army. We've got a little bit of influence. We could call more troops, and these are free, right? This is nice. These are our companions coming back from quests and whatnot. These guys were conspicuously missing. In fact, Baron York is a little bit disconcerted. Some of these companions were missing for months. Some of these companions, they smell of Khazate horses. If you guys take my meaning, if you guys have been watching the campaign, you understand what I'm talking about. These guys have not been with the Baron for the last 6 to 12 months. He's been disconcerted by that. They're making this excuse and that excuse. I was doing this quest and that quest. And obviously, if you guys watch this campaign chronologically, you know that those companions were sent to help the son and children of Baron York by his wife, right? Lyanna, the good house mom, the good mother, taking care of her exiled children, sent Baron York's companions down to look for and help the sons of Baron York, right? So we have these, of course, that's all contrived, but we have these multiple events occurring at the same time. Rylan and his brothers and sisters are in this campaign still, right? Even though we just have Baron York, those characters are out there. They're out there potentially getting killed in battles for the Khazate, right? So I told you guys this campaign was going to be wild, unlike anything you've ever seen, and hopefully we've succeeded so far. Now, I can't recruit most of these armies. We only have, I feel like a really poor kid with a tiny allowance trying to buy 2 candy bars at the store, and I can't afford them. I can only, afford like a gumball and a comic book or something like that. Trying to call a little bit more armies here because we are going into the Lion's Den, right? The Battanians have been whipping our ass here for about a year. I think Caladog is still out there rampaging. And of course, these Battanians are upgrading with the StrengthenAI, right? Every single battle in this campaign could be the kind of battle where Baron York is killed and a bunch of other horrific shit happens. We're captured. With the reinforcement mod especially, and the StrengthenAI mod, this is really a whole new ball game. Now, we got another lord over here sieging. That's good. The Sturgeons are starting to encroach on Battanian territory. While the Battanians have been attacking us, they've been getting backdoored by the Sturgeons, foolishly focusing on our front instead of the Sturgeon front. So now the Sturgeons are starting to enter the picture here as well. And here's Caladog right here. The motherfucker's at He's at Dunglanys, and look at this fucking army. This is sick. I mean, that is just insane. 131 wildlings and 85 fiend champs. The other army is stacked as well. And this is exactly what I mean, right? Technically, we outnumber them, but this is going to be a savage siege, right? This is the kind of siege we can easily lose, right? Because they have all of these deadly tier 5 and 6 ranged units. It's basically a nightmare castle or city siege here. That said, we're still going to try, right? We're not about to back off from difficult challenges here. Baron York continues on a role-playing level to try to show all these other nobles that not only is he noble, but he's the best noble, right? That Baron York is the most qualified to be king of the Vlandians. So far, they haven't agreed with him. It might be, you know, the fact that he has slept with half of their daughters and some other horrific shit, and he's got a bad temper, likes to raid villages and burn down huts and shit like that. But Baron York on a role-playing level is going to continue to try to sort of put himself forward as the shiniest, best candidate. He's like a presidential candidate, right? He's up there on the stand saying he's going to doing all the typical stuff, right? I'm going to reduce taxes, and I'm going to do this good thing and that good thing. Now, this army's probably fucked, but I'm not going to leave here. I guess we could get over there and interfere, but I'm just going to stay here at Dunglanys. I guess I'll hope they take Pendraic before that army gets to him. It looks like they got a shot. They're already sieging it down. Maybe they'll succeed. Maybe they won't. These are minor things in the great scheme of life here. All right, so 1,100 defenders. Potential reinforcements, right? You got this guy out here roaming by. You can almost count on reinforcements in this situation, right? We're in Battanian territory. The king is here, right? King Caladog is here. If there was anything to realism, the Battanians are going to try to help. So now you have to approach siege totally different, right? And that's what I mean, how refreshing these mods are. And of course, look at their siege skills, right? I have really good siege skills, and of course, what I mean is Baron York has really good siege skill. I always, struggle whether or not I should be first person or third person with Baron York. I am Baron York, right? I am the Batman. But in this instance, right, they have very high-powered lords inside, and so their siege skills are commensurately high, right? So we're really struggling here, but I think. No, they still got a catapult there. I'd like to get them down to one catapult at most. And sometimes you gotta be patient here, even though, of course, that Battanian force, I didn't see them destroy that Vlandian force, so I guess they took Pendraic. But this is one of those situations where all of a sudden 1,500 Battanians could loom up on the horizon as well. I'm both in a hurry to siege this city, but also I need to make sure we do it at the right moment, right? I don't want to fire catapult for sure because they so readily destroy your siege tower. We have one siege tower. I'm just going to do ladders and a siege tower. I'd like to have both. And there they go. In fact, look at the death. Fucking Asgerta Therafled. Well, at least we're ready to go here with the siege. We've got the optimal setup. They don't have any catapults. So we're going to launch into battle here, but you see a couple of elements there. First, the difficulty of this campaign. Our other Vlandian army is just annihilated. But also the Death for All mod. I remind you fellas that it's cranked way up. Those of you Patreon supporters, or guys who've suggested a companion name for this campaign, hold on tight if you're rooting for your little character, whether it's Marco Aurelius or Octum or any of these other companions named after people. They could get killed every single battle. And of course, we're not save scumming. I will just tip my cap to you fellas. Maybe we'll name another companion. If there's a Patreon supporter that would like the new companion name, do you guys want to put that kind of stuff in the feedback? I'm very happy to alter some stuff to keep you guys engaged. All right, so we got a fire catapult. That's going to be very helpful. And I'm going to try something wholly different here at the beginning of this battle. I'm going to set up essentially a king's circle. Circle of defense, because if you've been watching this campaign, sometimes reinforcements come in right away, and I don't want to get ambushed while I'm on a catapult with 3 dipshits next to me and we all get just massacred. I'm going to actually set up both the reserve division and a big circle of troops, probably do the 8th division around me on the catapult, right? It's going to look almost like it would in real life, except that Longshanks is never going to be on a catapult. Longshanks is actually a pretty good analog for Baron York. I never thought about that, but of course he's not a king. And I think Longshanks was a king his whole life, or at least, from he was like the heir to the throne. Anyways, sort of an irascible, fucking deadly, cunning You know, all the typical nasty things we think of Machiavellian type rulers. Longshanks and Baron York have a lot of similarities. All right, so 5th, 6th, and 7th will be assisting crossbow divisions. The 2nd division is going to be our main vanguard of infantry, led by one of our best captains, Baron York, and that 8th will circle one of those fire catapults. But before we do that, I'm basically going to rush forward here and play a little bit of the soldier just to help them get that fire cattle. I'm distracted. Just to help them get those siege ladders up. Your troops will put the siege ladders up, but I find it's better in a keep like this to save yourself 30 seconds, rush up to them, get your hands dirty yourself, and they will engage faster. Speed here is important, especially with the reinforcement system, right? I'm counting on reinforcements. I'll do percentages. I like to do percentages in life. I'm going to say 70% chance that the enemy gets reinforcements here. And since our Vlandian force got annihilated, I'm going to say 20% chance we get help, right? It's very unlikely we get any help here. And you've already seen the forces, right? It's basically, this whole city is tier 5. It's unbelievable. What do they have? 130 Battanian wildlings. And guys know how much I like wildlings. I don't like fighting them. I like having them on our side. Now we got flaming crossbow bolts here, lighting them up, but they're holding up their shields. And ordinarily, this would be a massacre, but there's a lot of good defensive units in there. And seeing that fire catapult, that's where Baron York needs to be, right? He's just not going to do much with his pitiful little crossbow. Let's trample some of our troops here and get over to that fire catapult and see what they got going on up there. It's mostly shielded units, which is bad, right? Because that means their archers are out of reach, hiding probably in a spot where it just skewers our troops, basically using the same tactics and strategy that we teach on the channel. It's a nasty setup here. So here's my ring, right? I'm just going to take this and basically circle this catapult as soon as the UI lets me here. Get up there. Doesn't have to like perfectly circle us, but that'll work, right? And now if reinforcements pour in, just like in real life, right? Protect the king, right? We'll have this big ring of infantry, good units, good archers and whatnot that will protect me. And of course, we'll use them as a reserve later in this battle, right? When the enemy looks weak or when they've been pounded for a little while and our forces are starting to waver, we will bring this elite division up and put down the hammer. Somehow with 200 troops here, they're still shooting right at me, motherfuckers. And whoever dialed this catapult in, they didn't, right? It's dialing the wrong number. It's like sailing in over the head of all the enemy troops and probably lighting the village on fire. It's like the Battle of Smolensk, Napoleon's siege of Smolensk. Fucking horses in the way here. Stay there. The siege of Smolensk was part of the 1812 campaign into Russia by Napoleon, and it's a classic example of how we think of guys like Napoleon and other war general, Frederick the Great, and all these monikers. And history sort of paints them as these undefeatable, incredibly brilliant people. And then you see the siege of Smolensk, where Napoleon basically stubbed his toe or wet the bed, or choose your analogy. The French troops were unprepared to siege Smolensk. Instead of having a more concentrated plan, they had little rickety ladders that they used to try to... And here we go. We look bad now, too. We're killing our own troops. The first shot I hit is all our own troops. Our troops are taking over the left there, so let's aim for the Fiend Champs. At least the Fiend Champs are being scorched there in the open. Finish that point, though. I can't hit anything. This is one of those situations where maybe you're better at letting the AI do it for whatever reason. I need some caffeine. In fact, we'll get a little sip here, a little V8 juice. But the siege of Smolensk was a disaster. They ended up just lobbing in incendiary mortar rounds into the city. Half the city of Smolensk, this religious cultural icon for the Russians, instead of taking it, the French basically burned the place and sacked the fucking place by accident. Another classic example of how even the great look like dipshits sometimes, right? Now, we've already blown a hole here, so let's get forces rallied on this little plateau here. It'll be vulnerable, but it's a good way and a good opportunity for us to get lots and lots of troops set up essentially into the city here. Make a breach. The fire catapult's still going. That 8th Division we'll bring up here. We're not in a hurry to throw those guys into the fray. but I want them near at hand, right? In a fire service, we would call that a staging ground. If you got firefighters that are getting prepared to go into a major fire event, they don't all just loom around the commander and ask him questions and shit like that. They go to a location where they can be quickly deployed. I imagine my fire service training helps with command with a game like this, right? We do all sorts of command and control. You're using concepts like the span of control, organizational processes, and of course it stimulates your brain because a fire scene is extraordinarily complicated. For those wondering, I have not chosen the life of being a fire leader for whatever reason. I'm typically on a fire ground. I am typically an assistant to one of my best friends who's the fire chief, and I'm sort of his combination of intel but also accountability. In fact, the name that I typically fulfill within my role is accountability officer. Motherfucking Caladog right there. Let's cut our way through to the king here. Maybe we can get the killing blow. He's right there with his stupid helmet. Kill them. And he has a huge vanguard of Fiend Champs around him. Oh, fucker. This is going to be a bloodbath. There's a huge amount of Fiend Champs down there. I don't know if you got a glimpse at it. It looked like 50 Fiend Champs are around Caladog. And don't forget, of course, their captains are giving perks to their units. So these are like fucking steroid Fiend Champs. Let's get more units up here. In fact, I'm going to activate this 8th Division early here. You can just tell. I can tell anyways. I don't know about you guys. This is going to be a slugfest. Look at this shit. It's fucking Fiend Champs everywhere. The whole fucking, almost the whole wall here is covered with Fiend Champs and tough units. And the losses are starting to mount. Of course, they're fucking, all of their archers are nasty. We're getting sprayed. The gate is basically untakeable, so let's move our troops away from it, right? You're better off sometimes if there's a really good defensive situation by the enemy, circumventing it, going around it, right? We're not just gonna fucking go right into the teeth of that incredible hail of flaming arrows. They must have 250, 300 troops down there by the gate. I could try to shove some troops through there, but I think it's suicide, right? I think they just get chewed up. So let's go around, right? We will try the walls here. I don't think there's been reinforcements yet. Usually there's like a horn and shit. So maybe I was wrong. Maybe they won't be reinforcements, but I keep looking out there, right? And just like a real life battle, now you've got to anticipate and prepare for much more difficult shit than vanilla Bannerlord. Here come our companions. Into the fray we go here, and I fucking love this shit, man. This shit is just epic. Flaming arrows flying all over the place. Push a hole here, boys. I will fulfill my duties. So we're getting help? No, that's not help, motherfucker. It's the wrong text. That's Batanian forces. Let's set up some. Let's try to set up at least some crossbow divisions here. We can do a little division of units because these guys are going to get ambushed. Let's try to break off a few here, have them spread out and confront these guys. Because here we go. I was just saying it. At any moment we can get reinforcements, and just almost on cue, they're coming. So you guys want carnage in an epic battle here, right? Now we're spreading out low-level crossbow to basically try to give them some kind of resistance here. Shoot them, cavalry boys. Meanwhile, down here we have an absolute fucking fray, a fracas. Charge, boys. You guys have pushed a good wedge. Let's get dirty now. Fucking Fiend Champs everywhere. Oh, fucker. God damn it. Now, I'm going to keep monitoring outside here, but obviously we're getting fucking cut down. We just had a fucking companion torn apart, and it's carnage. And then the soundtrack kicks on this fucking high stress song. It like makes me even more stressed. Guys are yelling. All right, I think we're better off taking this backside, but let's take a look outside. Let's see what it looks like out there, and let's see what the main gate looks like. I might be able to thrust some units through the gate. They do have a giant fracas at the ladders. Fuck. Let's see. We're already down to 150 infantry, so we're starting to get light on troops. They still have a huge vanguard. It's 340 troops there at the gate. We could try to occupy them with some troops while guys come around from behind. Well, and that tells you all you need to know, right? Charge! We do have about 100 troops over here that are getting up the ladders. I don't know if it's going to be enough, though. We got to keep pushing around the enemy flank. We're going to try to backdoor them here. Coming down those steps into that murderous archer fire is just not a thing. We get destroyed. Charge, boys. Of course, it's fucking Fiend Champs. Neck deep in Fiend Champs here. 30 charge 400. Fucking shot in the face. Fucker. And we're going to have to be light on our toes here. Ballerina fucking combat. I'm just going to cut a path right through the center here. Try to disrupt these guys so our guys can make a pack. Come on. Fucker. And I'm all alone all of a sudden. Fuck, our forces melted. Of course, we're trying that with 40 guys. It's not going to work. Fall back to our reinforcements here. We've got Fiend Champs shooting other Fiend Champs. The ladders are fucking totally clogged up. I don't know if we have forces outside the gate there. I think so. But this is just not a battle I can fucking proceed, right? I'm going to have to get more forces reinforcing behind us here. Obviously can't take on 30 Fiend Champs myself. It's carnage. It's beautiful carnage. Oh shit, they do have a lot of forces at the gate. That seems like where they're making their stand. So we're going to have to rally troops here and surround them. Archers are pushing up. Get up here, boys. These are all us. And what a fucking classic we have here, right? Just another classic siege assault. We've got at least 100 troops over here. 60, 70. We've got 76 troops in the 5th Division. We can get them behind the enemy. This other 30 or 40, they can push in. What's this down here? This is more... This is enemy forces here trying to retake the siege tower. We're going to have to deal with this shit. Yeah, you fuckers. I've neglected my crossbow, but I just think his two-handed skill is more deadly. The enemy's trying to make a fucking counterattack here. Fuck you. Fuck, we got like 20 guys here. We're getting fucking zerged. And it's still elite troops. We'll make off fucking little jump down here. A little bit of a safety jump. Try to clear this door open here. And we might have lost this siege. I don't know, man. You've noticed the power bar has vanished again. We're going to continue to do that to you guys. Maximum stress for you guys. If I'm stressed, you guys get it too. You don't like it? You can watch some other YouTube channel where a guy's got 1,900 troops against 100, just steamrolling everything in sight, right? I don't mean that in a rude way. I mean, like, I'm pretty sure you guys want this, right? You guys want some drama here. Life's a little dull sometimes. This channel won't be. It's a fucking fracas. We're still trying to get these last 40 guys up the stairs here, up the ladder, and I'm fighting for my fucking life here. I'm getting surrounded. Get over here. Those archers are supporting us a little bit here. Fucking shoot me in the face. Fucker. They got a guy mounting the ballista. Fucking asshole. And they still have a vanguard at the gate. All right, our guys here are being held up. Let's help them get over here. This is what we needed. This is like 40 troops. We can make a press with these guys here. Very close to an F1, F3 situation. Do that quick enough. Hopefully you guys don't notice me changing the music. And like this soft music that comes up that's perfect for a slow dance and not for a fucking battle royale here. We do a little music change. We'll just edit that out. But if you're wondering what that little was, that's what's going on there. And I think these guys are holding up shields. I think there's guys in the gatehouse. We're just going to have to get dirty here. Let's get everybody up here. Let's move the 5th in here. And don't forget, at any point there could be reinforcements coming, right? Battalion reinforcements pouring in on us. We might end up defending this keep. This is fucking epic. Fight to the death, boys. I think we got this shit. We're starting to steamroll this vanguard. They're fighting like wolves, though. Nothing easy in this battle. We might have 150, 200 troops left. Not anymore. There's no way we have 500 troops. And is that it? I think that's it. Yeah. 117 troops. I mean... How's that, fellas? Another fucking epic classic here in this campaign. It's been miraculous. Part of it's the mods, of course, right? Caladog, you need some more athleticism. That's why he's getting whipped. 208 athleticism, but victory, right? Baron York seizes, hopefully, his capital city here, and another classic, right? These are just automatic shares with you fellas, so to speak. Must-watch Bannerlord TV. Taking prisoners here, we're going to get deserters, but as soon as we get guys healing, we should be able to save a lot of these. And a little preview there at the next mod that's entering center stage here. You guys, if you didn't see that, of course, you're welcome to pause and go back. We will give you little tiny sneak trailers of what's going to occur here. And move along. We'll change the subject here. Get a little bit of loot. Of course, every time I expect Caladog's gold helmet, and we don't get it. But that was a great battle, and a perfect way, I think, to wrap up this episode here. I got a peek. Show you guys too much information. 109 troops here. And look at the cities rebelling. I think two purposes here. We're going to sit here. I'm going to dump some food on the city, and I think we'll sit here a few days to try to improve the loyalty of this city. Because if we can get the loyalty up, I don't think it can rebel while you're here, right? You see the loyalty, it says 0. So this city's a high risk of revolt. High risk of rebellion. And, of course, we need to heal. We've got 176 troops. We took a beating there. That's all there is to it, right? But we should have, right? It's an incredibly elite force of Batanians defending. The king is there. We didn't capture him, so one of these other nobles got a hold of him, I guess. At least I didn't see it. And presumably, they're going to tote him around a while. Here we go. We get no city. God damn it. Baron York is getting upset here, right? This is how you get your own kingdom, is you become your own kingdom. Of course, that would just make this campaign even more chaotic. So we're gonna probably, just continue to acquiesce here to Alari the idiot, but we shall see, right? There's a combination of me role-playing and just practicality, right? We don't have any fucking cities here. I gotta pee. We'll get a few troops here. I think what I'll do is I'll head back to Vlandian lands. We'll get some troops. I'll probably edit most of it out. You don't need to see me pick up 6 squires and 4 recruits over here and stuff like that and buy some mercenaries. But we need it, right? We have a raggedy army. We have 167 troops. I am going to do quests along the ways here. It's always a nice way to get your companions some EXP, get some other benefits. Of course, we're not recruiting Batanian troops, so I guess I probably shouldn't be bothering here. I need to start shuttling up Vlandian troops, but right now we just need troops, period, right? Our army isn't even full. We're in no position to be spreading troops around into our various castles. And speaking of the castle here, Calais Castle's under siege by Batania, so just going to tell my bladder to chill. Let's take care of this, and hopefully we can catch a break here. Sometimes I just, will pause the recording for. Other times we just push on through. Manchug down there is granting this castle, that castle, and the Aserai are granting castles to various different nobles. For those of you who are watching close, I would say, if you don't mind, save your comments, right? If you know what I mean. The fellas who saw what they saw, you can save your comments for later. And keep some suspense for this campaign here, and I don't know what's going to happen here, right? There could be reinforcements. Again, you can't treat battles in this campaign. People are dying. You can't treat it like that was a quest I was negligent on. You can't treat it like normal Bannerlord, right? You just have to anticipate a hard battle every fight. So we're a little bit banged up here, but I think, like the Rohirrim, we're going to roll in with the sunshine here and try to wrap up this Batanian force and probably wrap up this episode here. 800 and something troops. The garrison is sallied out, so we'll outnumber them. But you just never know, right? It's another doom stack of Batanians, probably packed full of elite troops. Let's get our spear for this battle. I continue to switch out the crossbow for siege and the spear for most battles. We may use a crossbow in some battles at some point or other. Where the fuck are my spears? Apologies for this little delay. Get Baron York a nice little spear. Legendary reinforced. Don't I have some higher tiered spear? All of our equipment has been kind of shuffled and moved all over the place. Apologies for this, just because we keep getting captured. When you get captured, you lose all your spare equipment. Get him a nice stack of javelins here. Our equipment really is lacking right now, and I guess what I mean by that is our backup equipment. I should probably put that legendary tier 6 sword on somebody before we lose it getting captured. Let's see if I just jinxed us in this battle. If we lose this battle, you know this campaign is brutal hard. 800 against our 7-something with reinforcements. And we're favored, you know, so we shall see. In we go here. Now, our army is kind of a strange mix. We're very heavy cavalry and crossbow. That's one of the oddest combinations you can have in Bannerlord, but I have an idea how to make it work. We're going to use these upper hills here on the right. And cavalry being what they are in Bannerlord, you know, the spear cavalry, we're going to try a little something different here, right? We're going to effectively dismount again, kind of like that village battle, some units behind the enemy, have them bore in, have infantry attack their center. The 3rd Division can attack from the top, from the enemy left, our right. And then we will position crossbow up on those high hills to just rain in damage. Now we've got a bunch of low-level crossbow. That's okay though, right? These guys are upgrading. So basically think about it this way. If you could position the enemy in a way where your infantry was attacking the front of the enemy and the archers behind the enemy, that's kind of what we're going to try to do here, right? Except we're using elevation, right? If all of your archers had a clear line of sight to the enemy and your infantry is driving in on the other side, obviously you guys can imagine the kind of carnage that causes to the enemy. All of your crossbow bolts are just finding flesh, finding helmets. And we're going to have to navigate this a little bit, right? We're going to have to sort of screen these crossbow because they have a long way to run up there, and we'll try to distract with the 2nd Division to the enemy's right or left. This 3rd Division is a mix of shock troops. I don't really want a bunch of sergeants in there. I don't like shields in that shock troop division. I want them in the 1st Division because they're going to hold the defensive center. There's going to be a lot of pressure on that 1st Division. We have another beautiful sunrise here for a Vlandian stomping. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to fat finger the wrong key here, and we're going to drag the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th up here to high ground, right? If the enemy comes at us, this will work especially well, but we're going to have to screen them with this 8th Corps, right? The 8th Corps of Cavalry, I'm just going to drag here in front of all of these crossbow. That way, of course, they don't get shot and they don't get trampled and stabbed to death by enemy cavalry. The 1st in the center, the 2nd Division at the far end down there. The 2nd is also a big cav division. We're gonna fucking take fall damage. Fucking gravity. And they're already charging, which is fucking with my plans a little bit. We'll have them counter-charge here briefly. It's another beautiful scene. It's incredible, man. The Better Time mod, or actually I think it's called Time Pass. The Better Time mod is actually, that's for the campaign menu, where you can make the campaign go by faster. The mod that I use a lot for lighting, it's called Time Pass, and I think it's beautiful, right? It just makes for dynamic lighting in Bannerlord. This for sure should be part of the DLC, right? Or part of the next patch, right? To have this dynamic lighting. The shadows get a little bit off sometimes. Bannerlord's not really well made for it, but most of the time it works beautifully. Kind of like the reinforcement system. All right, so screening with cavalry here. Those guys are going to take some losses because they're point blank with infantry and being shot at, but that's going to allow all these delicate crossbow to set up uphill of the enemy. Then we're going to trample their archers, circle back in, get their infantry in a big ball, and attack them from the water side down there. That way, all these crossbow, once they're in position, just provide incredibly deadly hail to the enemy, deadly fire of enemy of crossbow bolts. Our narration falls off the wagon here. All right, so 2nd Division comes up. That's 8th Division. See that archer line there? You just send it fucking right in the middle of it. They say, go occupy those bitches. The 2nd Division right now is kind of running through the enemy infantry, occupying them. We're getting these cavalry out of the way of all these archers. That way there's nothing in the way of their line of sight. And now we're going to harass their archers and then get the rest of this cavalry all over this infantry, but on the other side. And again, I do that because I want our units to be able to shoot the enemy. Now we'll run right next to this 8th Division here, and watch how effective this is. Look at these boys. They're just trampling the shit out of Battanians. The guys are getting obliterated, and we'll follow up with the 2nd, right? All these archers are frozen. They're trampled by hundreds of cavalry, and now we'll loop back. All the dust. Now, there's not hundreds of archers dead because cavalry just don't do what they're supposed to do. I see some guys dead, but they should have killed like half of them. drag them this way, and it's a lot of archers, but we're going to be able to make this work. So the first and third are now charging in the center. These crossbow have beautiful position uphill. Our cavalry's coming back this way here to continue to interrupt their archers. In fact, their archers are, I don't know, they look like they're charging right into our archer or crossbow fire. It wouldn't matter though, because in come our cavalry to wrap up their backside. The 8th Division, or the 2nd Division rather, we're going to dismount right behind the enemy. That way those guys cut off any enemy retreat. And now the enemy dies, right? You know, tactical enlightenment quote. The 8th Corps is getting mauled. But that's not me. That's the game mechanics, right? We've used these cavalry about as well as you can in a battle like this. Archers are now spraying downhill into the backs of the enemy. The 2nd Division's attacking uphill. The 1st and 3rd here are in the center. Now, the 1st and 3rd took serious losses because you can see, again, the enemy forces were attacking. Just tons of elite troops. But our crossbow, I mean, just listen to that. It's just a beautiful sound. Just firing downhill into the thick enemy ranks. And this battle is fucking over. Got some reinforcements coming in. The 4th Corps is charging. Got a Vlandian lord here haplessly poking people with her spear. Someone's yelling, kill them all! Try to kill this lord here. Of course, they got 10,000 hit points. Look, he was just shot 30 times before he dies. And fucking victory, right? Alright, we take a proverbial deep breath. I don't think I'm going to edit out any of these battles. This was a highly interesting series of battles here as this lord runs off into the sunrise or sunset. I guess it's a sunrise. And we are going to wrap this episode up, right? The Vlandian resurgence is back. Baron York is a man spurned, right? He is an angry elf as the evil King Aserai hoards all the cities here. Baron York is developing a complex. Rolvault was basically seized by force, right? It was fucking taken from Baron York. The Batanians held it for 20 minutes, and then Aserai said, yeah, you know, I like this city, it's mine. Take a few prisoners here, but I'm going to start my ending spiel here, fellas. I appreciate you, fellas. Thanks for watching our episodes. Of course, if you want to see more from this epic campaign, get a little another little teaser glimpse here, the Valandia, right? You guys are probably like, what in the fuck? If you want to see more from this campaign, and I got that nice little teaser there for you, you want to subscribe. If you hit notifications, you'll be told by YouTube, right? As soon as episodes come out. Appreciate you, fellas. Leave any comments, all that kind of stuff. And I will see you, friends, next time.